am African, I'm a mother, and I'm raising a new breed of leaders for the African future. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever it is you're joining us from. You're welcome to the 𝑘𝐼 Show, where 𝑘𝐼 means Afri Moms Raising African Leaders. My name is 𝘉𝑗𝑜𝐻𝑒𝑜𝑘𝐻𝑒𝑜𝑏𝑎𝑧𝑒, but I'm never here alone. There's always the strong, the steady, and the study.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever it is you're watching us from. Welcome once again to another refreshing episode of the 𝑘𝐼 Show. And you know it's right here on your refreshing radio station, Digits 1024 Radio. And you know the drill. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share it, and don't forget to subscribe. So this is the 𝑘𝐼 Show YouTube page. Do well to also follow at Digits 1024 for more refreshing contents like this. So over to you, Zoe. What are we doing today?
Thank you so much, Zoe. Today we're having a flashback session. We're going back to secondary school, higher institution, juggling our memories while carrying along those of us who perhaps missed these moments for one reason or the other. I happen to have studied literature in school as Somi, and I'm very excited about that. That we share that. I remember calling Somi up and saying, Somi, wait. Did you ever read The Joys of Motherhood? And she's like, I read it multiple times.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, we have been having the 𝑘𝐼 Show, which is Afri Moms Raising African Leaders. And today we want to delve into something we read as girls, as much younger women, and now we are wives, we are mothers. We want to examine the thought processes, the themes, and the ideas that were shared in that novel. So, without wasting any time, I want to introduce to you, first of all, the author of this book. Her name is Buchi Emecheta. Okay, she was born in the year 1944 and passed on in the year 2017. She was a Nigerian-born novelist, and she was known for works that focused on African women's experiences. It would interest you to know that some of her books were The Joys of Motherhood, Second Class Citizen, The Bride Price, and The Slave Girl. Most of her works expressed African women and their struggle for independence and their dignity within oppressive systems. Her writing is celebrated for its frankness, compassion, and deep insight into the complexities of women's lives, both in Africa and in Western contexts. But today we're not talking about any other of her works than The Joys of Motherhood.
Okay,
sorry.
So you know, first of all, the very first time I came across that book, I was excited. You know, because of the title, Joys of Motherhood. I was expecting, all the, how will I put it?
Happy ending, all the happy start, happy life.
You understand that kind of a thing. But it turned out that even the title was very ironic because it seems like the main character actually experienced the sorrows of motherhood. Sorry to say that, but like, it was, for me as a young girl, I connected with the main character, but not at the level of this is what I want for my life. In fact, it was more like she gave me a picture of what not to want, what I don't want for my life as a mother. Do you understand? So, and it's a very interesting conversation because this is a woman that practically, it was almost like her whole existence was just to give birth to children and be a mother. There was no other identity for her outside being a mother. Yeah. And for me, especially with what I know now, I think that's a very big anomaly for any woman. Motherhood is a beautiful thing. It comes with its own perks and all those stuff, while it comes with its own challenges. But I don't think God, who created us, wanted our identity to be solely restricted to the fact that she was a mother. Do you understand? Okay. So it was like Nnu Ego, who is the main character, that's her name, was her whole identity from start to finish, even getting married at the young age of 16. It was like the whole existence was just to give birth to children. And in her first marriage, when she was unable to do that, she felt less of a woman. You know, there was this
Shame, stigma.
Do you understand?
Yeah,
so for me,
disappointment.
I don't think that's a place any woman wants to be. That's a very bad place.
Thank you so much, Somi, for that introduction. But just in case you are listening to us and you're wondering, what are they talking about? For instance, I didn't even study literature. I didn't get to read these books. I'll bring you up to speed. In fact, that's why I am here today. So Somi would be, I'm about to put you on this spot. So Somi would discuss the issues while I tell you the stories. Okay. So The Joys of Motherhood by 𝙏𝙝𝙚 𝙤𝙤𝙪 is a novel set in colonial Nigeria that follows the character called Nnu Ego. She was a woman whose identity and self-worth was tied to her ability to bear children, particularly sons. Despite her deep longing for motherhood, Nnu Ego's life is filled with hardship and disappointments. Her sacrifices for her children go largely unappreciated, and she faces the harsh realities of poverty, gender inequality, and the clash between traditional and modern values. The novel explores themes of motherhood. Okay, I wouldn't want to go there because I want for us to, as much as possible, do a step-by-step appreciation of this work, while of course picking out the issues. So permit me to do something, which is read these summaries in a sort of systematic manner. So let's make an attempt to bring you up to speed with what exactly this novel is about by telling you the storyline to a good degree. So Nnu Ego, the protagonist, this is how the novel starts. We see her running across a Yaba compound, almost delusional with grief. She makes her way to the waterfront, heading to 𝐻𝑝 Bridge. What was her intention? To throw herself into the bridge. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I think that was where the whole story
Started with her.
We now started backtracking and all those stuff. Pardon me, like I read that book how many years ago? Almost 15 or 16 years ago. But then again, it's a story that somehow the main theme has stuck to my head, and I'm able to remember a little bit of fragments. But of course, as we go through the story, we'll be able to jot our memory. So, but the thing is, there's a limit everyone can take. So at that point, Nnu Ego got to her limits. So, and of course, then again, because it seems like this is what my life is all about, and it is not giving me what I want, then what is the essence? Let me just end it up. That was just, I guess that was just her frame of mind, because when 𝙏𝙝𝙤 𝙤𝙤𝙪 finally takes us back into her journey and everything, we now come to relate, or I guess you're not able to sympathize with the Nnu Ego that was shown at the beginning, trying to take her own life. So that's just...
Somi, I really appreciate what you have just said, because it makes me remember sometime very recently, I do not know if it was late last year, when we learned about a young lady who was a banker and who for some reason was not meeting up with the figures. And then she took her own life, and they wrote a note that she wasn't, sufficient. So it appears that not only do we have a certain Nnu Ego who is unable to have children and therefore sees that her life is worthless, giving up, we have some other women, because now it's women now. We have some other women who think that, oh, in my career, I'm not meeting up. What is there to live for? So Nnu Ego, in her own situation, was feeling like, oh, I do not have sons. Or I don't want to spill the bean on why particularly she wanted to take her life at 𝐻𝑝 Bridge that day. But there she was, wanting to kill herself. And there is another modern lady in present-day Lagos, Nigeria, wanting to take her own life. Or rather, she actually took it, sadly, simply because her boss thinks, oh, you are not meeting up with the figures. So these are issues that we say, these are the moments we say, rather than consider that, why not talk to a friend? How about a community like this, where we share with ourselves and say that we know it's tough, we know it's difficult, but we keep one foot ahead of the other, and then we'll be fine. Imagine if that lady who took her life last year or early this year, imagine if she just took off some time from work and just go and be with family, or something like that. Talk to someone else. Imagine if Nnu Ego had a friend to talk to. Cry all you want, but don't think of taking your life. So okay, that's just one issue. So moving on. The action shifts to 25 years previously. In a moment, in the village called Ogbolu in the Ibuza, pardon my pronunciation, please. Let me try again. A village of Ogboli in the Ibuza homeland. Agbadi, the esteemed local chief, is enamored by the woman he cannot possess, the beautiful and strong-willed Ona. During a hunting trip, Agbadi is gored by an injured elephant and is not expected to live long. However, Ona slowly nurses him back to health, and as he heals, guess what he does?
He marries her.
Say if na marry am for good. He humiliates her in the compound by loudly forcing his sexual intentions on her. And then she becomes pregnant. And the results of this union. So it was then said that if it is a boy she gives birth to, the child will belong to Ona's father. But if it is a girl, it will belong to Agbadi. Guess what? The rapist. And guess why? Because of course now, it's a girl. You can sell her off in marriage and then get some things in return. But if it's a young man, he might just go on with life. So here was somebody, already you have done something wrong by forcing yourself on a woman. Then you then have the temerity to determine what happens to your born child if perhaps she's a woman, and then you can have her. I mean, that's what do you think? Reading this,
the thing is, the story, like I said, it's just a very pathetic one, because it's one that you're wondering, like, can anyone's life get more unfortunate than this? It's more like her own from the very foundation of, okay, maybe let me not spill the car. Let me not spill the back, because since I'm jumping the gun. But the thing is, and funny enough, these things still happen till today. Sadly. Was it this month or last month? A lot of femicide cases that is involving women and probably their ex-lovers, lovers, or friends, male friends, and all those stuff. And you say that sometimes women are prone to this kind of maltreatment. And why this particular one is so absurd is this is a woman that has done good to you. So the only thing your brain could think of to pay her back is by forcing yourself on her. And when I read that part, it was like I should just bring him out from the novel and just strangle him. Do you understand? But then, like I said, that goes to show that also coming to today, it also shows that we've come a long way. We're not there yet, but it's not like it used to be anymore. Yeah. Women, you see women now more at the forefront of a lot of industries and all those stuff. You see women now taking up places. You see women demanding for things that should be accrued to them. Do you understand? Unlike them, when you didn't have a say, you're probably subject to one man, either father, husband, brother, but there's just a man who is making decisions that affects your life, and you to a large extent do not have any say whatsoever in it. So it's good to see that our daughters will grow up to see a better world where there is more inclusion for women, where there's more respect for women, where women are encouraged to dare to dream, to go for it, to be all that they can be. So that shows that, because I think this story was set in the 1900s or so, and this is 2024, and like I said, we're not there yet, because there are still a lot of issues that plague women, but we've come a very long way, and that is, for me, that's really encouraging.
I know why I listen to you, Somi. Something else gladdened my heart, which is that we as mothers of two boys, we are also being reminded that while a woman somewhere is raising her daughter to be virtuous, to be, keep herself chaste, we should equally teach our sons. Do not expect that you will go through life forcing yourself on young ladies, and then decide when it is time to be married that, oh no, I want the finest and the choicest. Life doesn't go that way.
True.
It's not right. It is not encouraged. We, the women of Ara, we are against it. Interestingly, we happen to be mothers. Between the two of us, we're talking about 5 sons. And we're saying that we're also calling out on other mothers. Teach your sons. Let us teach them to be upright. Teach them to respect women. Women are not objects to be used. Okay, so moving on. When Nnu Ego is born, now that's the child that was born from that unfortunate incident. Her name is Nnu Ego. A medicine man concludes that her chi, what's chi?
Okay. All right. So chi is more like loosely. Let me loosely translate it to destiny.
Okay.
Or it's actually meaning your God, but in this case, like your personal God. So
that's in the Igbo,
in the Igbo sense. I'm trying to, pardon me, my Igbo people, but then if you can explain it better, please.
Yes, please, you can
comment section or you can call in. But she basically is more like, in the best way I can understand, it's just like, you know, when Yoruba say 𝐿𝑒𝑑𝑎 or something like that, my head or my chi or my personal God, you know. Then back in those days, they believe everyone have
like a spirit, a guiding spirit.
More like, a personal God that dictates how your life should play out, that dictates how your life play out, how things happen to you and all those stuff. So that's why you hear people say my chi and all those stuffs in those days. So it's more like a personal God somewhere that determines how your destiny plays out.
Oh, thank you, Sumi. So interestingly, when Nnu Ego was born, it was said by a certain medicine man, you know, that her chi happens to be a slave girl who had been forcefully killed and buried with one of Agbadi's wives. And then within the year, Ona dies during childbirth. So while trying to give birth to Nnu Ego, she dies. Okay, and all of that. So now let's fast forward because there are issues here, but we don't want to unpack all of them. We want to see issues that particularly.
Don't worry, go and get the novel.
Yes, please do. In fact,
you enjoy reading it.
I think I need to read it again.
Even I will go back to read it because the story is not so clear in my head anymore. I just have fragments here and there. So it's actually a very interesting read. Buchi Emecheta really did a fantastic job in that novel.
And talk about leaving a legacy. So she passed on in 2017, and here we are in 2024 examining her work. Whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. Okay, so 16 years later, so Nnu Ego is 16 years old. She's married off. She's first betrothed to a certain Amatoku. When she does not become pregnant, relations cool between her and Amatoku, and she soon moved to another hut to make room for a new wife. Since the reason she was married was to have children, and she couldn't have, so they asked her to go and chill somewhere. Let somebody else come. Okay, so Nnu Ego is relegated to working in the fields and taking care of the new wife's infant son. So actually the new wife came in and then had a son. Okay, so when Amatoku, oh my God, Amatoku is this husband that she marries. One day he comes in and finds that, you know, in taking care of the son, this little boy needed breastfeeding. Nnu Ego, simple child, then took the child to her own breast in attempts to breastfeed the child. Her husband beats her. So beating has been a matter. Her husband beats her for that kind of kindness. It's not appreciated. So Nnu Ego returns to her father to rest and recover, and the marriage ties are severed. Okay, so she Agbadi, that's the father of Nnu Ego, then arranges another marriage between Nnu Ego and Nnaife, who lives in faraway Lagos. You know how it was in those days. So I do not know, wherever it is you're watching us from, your own where you are from, any country in Africa, is there this state or this province or a place where perhaps in those days, and perhaps also still the case now, that once you move from this end of town to that end of town, it's as though everything changes.
Thanks to our old Nollywood movies. Those days is usually a case of, once you hear that he's a city boy, that is Lagos boy,
coming to Lagos,
money, Pepe is resting, there is money and all those stuff. So then that was the picture. So for the fact that he was living in faraway Lagos, it's assumed that he was, well-to-do and all those stuff.
I can imagine her friends would have been envying her, like,
so
that's how she's going to shine.
To become a city girl.
Okay, so he lives in faraway Lagos, and Nnife's older brother escorts Nnu Ego to the city and her new life with Nnife. Nnife and Nnu Ego live in the Yaba compound. Oh, somewhere at Yaba. Interesting. Somewhere here in Lagos, where Nnife does laundry for the mayors, a British couple. She was happy in her new marriage, and Nnu Ego becomes pregnant and gives birth to a son named Ngozi. And before now, I used to think that Ngozi was a feminine name.
Yeah, but then, funny enough, it's recently that it's becoming more of a feminine name. I think back then in those days, it was actually more of a masculine name. Because I know of older uncles. I had a particular relative that is very old, like he's older than my father. That's to show you how old he is. And his name is Ngozi. Wow. And I have a few of them like that. So I think, it's now probably the way it sounds or whatever.
Yeah,
do you understand? Maybe they are now becoming it's more of a feminine name. But it's actually supposed to be a
unisex
name.
What does
name
Ngozi mean?
Blessing.
Oh, blessing.
Yeah, Ngozi
nice.
means blessing.
Okay.
So, and the funniest thing, when I read this story, first question, as little as I was then, what came to my mind was, how is she able to conceive and give birth in this marriage? What happened in the first marriage? Do you understand?
It happens to some of us. Sometimes it happens to some of us. You know what? A number of things are flashing my mind. So sometimes we come into marriage and there's really nothing wrong with you.
Exactly.
But it's perhaps, I remember a doctor saying that sometimes you just need your hormones to settle down. You just need to be calm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when we come into marriage, there's already the pressure of, oh my God, I don't want to be termed barren. I don't want to be.
Then another thing for her could also be probably the reproductive organs. Self, we're not even fully mature because at 16, like she was so tethered. Or even though in those days you're automatically assumed to be a woman once you're 16 years of age and ripe for marriage. But then that goes to show you that sometimes some things might not be working because of probably who you're dealing with. It might not even be a you problem. Do you understand? Because whatever is the case, because at the same time you can't say Amatoku was impotent
because he fathered a son.
He fathered. Yeah. Except, of course, there was some DNA issues.
Now that's another issue. That's another kettle of fish.
But then, the issue is, it just shows that marriage was probably never meant to be.
Yes.
Because you now see that here, she's in a better state. She feels more loved. She's blooming in the new marriage.
Yes.
Even though eventually, probably, I don't know if I would say it's a foundational issue or whatever it is. I don't even want to go very spiritual right now. Do you understand? But whatever it is, there was just a pattern that was following her. And eventually, no matter how comfortable she gets at every point in time, it seems there was always something evil or something bad lurking to grab her.
This makes me want to. So I have a couple of friends who, when you're discussing issues and it's like you're beginning to ask some questions, they say, don't go to evil forest. So I hope that my question is not evil forest. But do you really believe in that?
Well,
let's not enter this evil forest. Let's come back. Focus. Okay, so Nnu Ego starts selling cigarettes and matches beside the road. One morning, somebody say one morning. Nnu Ego discovers that Ngozi is dead.
Wow.
In her one-room apartment. That was how she began running to the waterfront to throw herself at Kata Bridge. Thankfully, an Igbo man who was coming off his shift at work saw her and prevented her from suicide.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it seems like when something good, there was just something lurking around to happen, because this is a child I would say she has waited all her life for, she was groomed for. Because I think those days, a woman is just being groomed to be a wife and a mother. So, and that wifehood self is even dependent on how well the man treats you. Do you understand? Then you can fully assume the wifeship. But for a lot of them, it's more, you see more of the motherhood at play because they find solace in the children because of how badly their husband treats them, or how the marriage is rife with issues, or maybe before you know it, the man has brought in one second wife from somewhere or one third wife. So for a lot of them, it was more of the motherhood that kept them sane. It was more the thought of their children that keeps them sane. So imagine this woman coming from all the baggages that she has come from, finally having a son whom she found succor in, that at least this is my own. This is something I can call my own. Then you're coming back one day to see that the child is dead. That's enough to run anybody mad. You understand?
So me, you know, just listening to you and trying to get into the psyche of Nnu Ego, I then wonder about, you know, recently I came across somebody on social media, on my Instagram feed, and she was talking about her son who passed on at the age of 10. It makes me wonder what would be going through her mind. What did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? You know, these are issues that the best you can do is offer. Maybe just be there for them and just hug them, you know, and hope
because that's not even the time to say, I understand how you're feeling.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Even if you have also lost a 10-year-old, the experiences are never the same. Because everybody has a unique relationship with everyone in their life. So that's why you see two siblings, both of them lost the parents, but they are dealing with the grief differently. So none can be said to understand how the other feels. Grief is a personal journey. It's something that is personal. So that's, you know, I understand. I used to be like that. And that's why one of the things I hate most is condolence visits. Please don't send me to do condolence because you just get in, you don't know what to say, you don't know the right thing to say. There. Even sitting there, you're like, is my presence even helping this person at all? Do you understand? But then the truth is, at the end of the day, you still just have to rally around the person. You still just have to come around the person. But then, if in doubt of what to say, it's better you just keep quiet, be mute, just be there. Just your presence alone, because a lot of times we end up saying things and we misfire, worsen the situation, and so, like I said, grief is personal. So for Nnu Ego at that point in time, someone else might be wondering, I've lost 10 children and I did not kill myself. So what is one child that you want to kill yourself?
Grief, no, please don't personal. Say that to her. As in, please, I'm begging you. So thank you so much. Recovering from Ngozi's death is a slow and painful process. I mean, just as Somi has highlighted. Then eventually, there's a ray of hope because Nnu Ego becomes pregnant again. And guess what? She gives birth to another son, Oshia, right? Oshia. Okay, what does that mean?
That one is the elders that will interpret.
Okay, so please, elders
that are watching, please help us with
interpretation. What is the meaning of Oshia?
I've not gotten to that eldership realm yet. Okay,
so Nnu Ego decides to focus solely on raising her child instead of making extra income at a market stall. You know, when I read this, it then occurs to me that sometimes we're very quick to flippantly judge people. Say, why is this one sitting at home? Other people are going to work. Are you the first to give birth to a child? You don't know somebody's story.
Exactly.
Don't say. Because for her, you see, the mindset is, the last time I left my child at home,
I
met him dead. So I rather, in fact, I don't mind if we're hungry. I'll just stay here and take care of him. So if you meet this kind of a woman and all you're doing is you're giving her TED talk on how to hustle, go out, you know, have the dream. It's a process for her to get to, and see the process. I mean, listen to what comes up next. I like the silence. So economic pressure sets in when the mayors return to England and Nnaife is suddenly out of job. Oh my God, when these things happen to us and our husbands, you know, when there is economic stability, you come into a marriage and already, so it's really everything is set. You already can calculate that by this time, you know, there's this amount coming in and then it's like, here in Nigeria, we say NEPA off lights. It's like the light just goes off. So that's referring to the power authorities, electric power authorities. And then it just goes out. What do you do next? It makes me want to wonder that should financial stability, a man's financial stability, should it be a reason or a consideration or something to hold on to when I say yes to the man? So, what do you think?
My dear.
That's your laugh. Because I mean,
the truth is we can't underestimate the power of financial stability in a marriage, in a family. You cannot take it away. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But then it's not dependent on you as a woman. Just have it in mind. If you're getting into marriage with a man who is not financially stable, then know that you can't rest on your oars. You now have to be up and doing to pull resources together to make sure that that financial stability becomes a thing, because it needs to become a thing for you to be able to run a home. But then it's easier when the man is financially stable for you to, last a little, relax a little, and all those stuff. But then again, it depended on you. Be sure what you want. If you're okay with drinking Gary with him all the rest of your life,
so
by all means, it's true. By all means, go ahead. But then if you see that this is someone that has prospects, he's just in a phase of his life, and there is prospects, then by all means, you build together to get to where you want to be. But then, is it important? My dear sister, it is over important. Because Pampers will not buy itself.
Oh, man.
Diaper rather will not buy itself. Baby food will not buy itself. School fees will not pay itself. So many other expenses that come up in the home, they will not take care of themselves. You need finances to do that. So, yes,
So, as is financial stability a thing? Somi says it is a thing because sister. Okay, we'll be right back to see what happens to Nnu Ego as her husband loses her job and life must continue.
And don't forget, this is the time to like if you haven't. Share to your friends, invite them to come and tune in and listen to what you're listening to. And of course, subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification button so that you get notified whenever we drop content like this. And this is still Digit 1024 Radio, your refreshing radio. We'll be right back. See you.
Don't go away.
Empowered by the love and wisdom of a free mom, they will stand tall, face challenges with courage, transforming our nations one dream at a time. This is the 𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑙 show where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children, Africa's future. We nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. Our free moms united in purpose, we stand strong, lifting each other, supporting our cause. Together we'll build a brighter tomorrow for our children, our families, our Africa. This is the 𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑙 show where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children, Africa's future. We nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. This is the 𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑙 show where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children, Africa's future. We nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. Rise, free mama from all corners of Africa. Rise from your slumber. The time is now. Lift your voices, take action, make your mark. Intentionally raise the leaders of tomorrow. This is the 𝑎𝑟𝑎𝑙 show where we plant the seeds of greatness in our children, Africa's future. We nurture their dreams, empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs.
You're welcome back. You're welcome to the Owl Show, and we have been discussing The Joys of Motherhood, a novel by 𝙏𝑝 𝙏𝑝. We have gotten to a point in the life of Nnu Ego, the protagonist, where her husband, in fact, her second husband, this man for whom she has given birth to 2 sons, unfortunately, she has lost one. Now, the man who was financially stable has just lost his job with the mayors, a British couple that he once worked for. And Nnu Ego would have to rise to her feet and save the family. Okay, so Nnu Ego, okay, so Nnu Ego returns, pardon me please. Nnu Ego resumes her local trade in cigarettes. She had taken a pause from that at the time when she lost her first child, Ngozi. But she returns to her trade, and Nnaife eventually secures a position that takes him far from home, working for a group of Englishmen. While away, British soldiers enter the abandoned compound where, remember, that's where Nnu Ego was living, actually. We see a number of these things, right?
Yeah,
where people just make family or in a abandoned compound. And this was people that are expected to be living in Lagos.
Exactly.
You know, in a glorified Lagos.
In the faraway Lagos.
Faraway Lagos. Okay, so the soldiers approach Nnu Ego while her husband is away and ask her to evacuate the compound. Nnu Ego takes a rented apartment somewhere else in town and gives birth to another son she named Adim. Left on her own, her family succumbs to malnutrition. Neighbors step in to help. Nnu Ego returns from her search for contraband cigarettes and finds that her husband has returned, this time with plenty money.
As in,
With
money,
plenty
money.
ego.
Financial stability.
What's the meaning of
Nnu
Nnu
Ego
Ego?
is 20 bags of money.
What?
You know calories now?
Yes.
Is what they use there. So
Yes.
20 calories in a bag, more like a bag of money.
Can you
So
imagine?
imagine the irony.
Can you imagine?
So imagine someone, it's just like someone now that is called Ako. Ako is wealth in Igbo.
Okay.
Languishing in poverty.
Oh
that
my,
irony.
oh my,
You understand?
oh
so,
my.
so for someone like her who is practically being called bag of money,
Aye.
and they are not living in abject
She's
poverty
living
to
in
the
the bank.
point.
The money will come. Okay, so she secures a permanent stall in the marketplace and pressures Nnaife to find his next job. Okay, I want to quickly run. This is an attempt to bring us up to speed, those of us that do not know the novel, and as well to bring out the issues. So, it so happens that Nnaife's brother dies and the family says he has to inherit his brother's properties, including his brother's wives. And so Nnu Ego is now thrust into being first wife and then has a second wife. And a certain Adaku arrives with her daughter and tension begins, rivalry. So it didn't start out as a case of polygamy, but here we are. And so she has to live with it. So, I mean, I think that Emecheta just set out to throw in potpourri of issues.
Yes.
As many as
And the
can
truth is
be.
that a lot of these issues were very prevalent in
At
those
that
days,
time.
especially amongst the Igbos and all those things. You know, inheriting of wives was a thing.
Yeah.
So-
Does it still happen in the Igbo culture?
Well, it's actually becoming very extinct, but I'm sure some people still practice it. But I guess now it's not a case of you must inherit it. I guess now it's a case of if the woman wants. Because some women are actually okay with it. Instead of going back to their father's house, they would rather remain in the family and be married to the brother. So, but every malam with his kettle. So, but the thing is, it's gradual. Like I said, it's getting better. There are a lot of things, a lot of practices that modernity is beginning to, you know,
to alter, change.
and change a lot of things. So it's no longer like that, but it's now a case of if you want or something. Then for some people, they've abolished it completely. A woman, once your husband is dead, you're free from whatever bonds that held you and
with
all
the
that.
family. So in fact, I'm curious, if you are from any other country apart from Nigeria, or you are from a tribe that perhaps we're not very familiar with here on the show, please share with us, is it a practice in your culture that when a man dies, the brother inherits the wife? Is that a culture? And if it was in the past, is it still being practiced today? Please share with us in the comment section.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nnu Ego gives birth to twin girls. It appears that every time the husband comes,
Yes.
Okay.
The body is waiting to receive.
Exactly. She gives birth to twin sons, and sadly, Adaku, who was the inherited wife, her own son dies. Okay, so it goes on, it goes on. Okay, Nnaife comes home to enjoy it. It appears then, guess what? At some point as well, the army comes to Nnaife and forces him into being a soldier. You know, now he has to go to fight in World War II. I mean, how many issues? How many issues in this one life? Okay, then he begins to send some money to Nnu Ego, but
Yeah.
it somehow doesn't get to her.
Yeah.
Either because perhaps she's an illiterate.
It was an institutional error, probably
Okay.
name mistake or something. I really can't remember the details, but it was an issue. But what I can't remember is if the arrears of those money were finally paid to her. That's a gray area in the story that I can't remember reading.
Backlog.
Yeah, but I'm sure that the mistake was from whatever the whole process of getting the money and all that.
Yeah. So okay, thank you. At some point, the wife who was inherited decided that she was going back to her homeland, but Nnu Ego decided to stay in Lagos. Okay, she did go for her father's burial, that's Agbadi, but returns to Lagos. She was counseled to come back. Okay, so at some other point. Okay, so when Nnaife's friends step in to resolve the conflict, Adaku decides that she and her daughters will move out of their own house. They were still impoverished, and then okay, furthermore, moving on, the family moves. Okay, so though Nnu Ego is pregnant, if I've lost count of how many times she keeps getting pregnant.
In fact, I said she went from being barren in quotes to being a chicken with plenty children. Like it was like at every point in the story she was pregnant.
I lost count. In fact, so so now the final aspect. The family moves to a mud house in another part of town. First, Oshia, that's her first son, and then Adim announced that they would like to further their education. When Oshia tells Nnaife he has won a scholarship to study in the United States, Nnaife denounces him for his dereliction. Please, what does this mean? Dereliction of his filial duty. What does that mean? I mean,
Well, that was a very. But I think the idea was he was supposed to get married and continue the family
not
lineage, not
pursue
education.
education.
Yeah, I think that was the expectation in those days. Education was not really a thing like it was now. So, so the expectation was and that's the irony of why a lot of them clamor for sons, for continuation of the lineage. They believe, I have a son that will continue my lineage, so that my name, a name that we probably don't even know, will not go extinct and all those stuff. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, but in Oshia's case, Oshia decided that no, I think there is more to just having a wife and children and living in abject poverty. And to some extent, it's possible that his family situation influenced his decision, because one thing I have found out about circumstances is there are two things it does to you. When you find yourself in so let me say two children who have a drunk father who is always drunk, and you see them, they turn out differently. One is running away from the bottle, the other is running towards the bottle.
Yes.
And every time you ask the two of them, they say, and you ask them, why do you act the way they do? The both of them reply, because of my father.
Yes.
Both of them say
Yes.
because of my father.
Yes.
So for one, because my father drinks, I picked up drinking. But the other one is because my father drank,
And I saw the
consequences of what it did to him, and I didn't want it for myself. I ran away from it. So those are the two reactions to circumstances when you either flight or fight. So it's either you're moving towards it or you're turning away from it. But the thing is that at every point in time, you can't control the external forces around you. You can't control whatever is happening. There are some circumstances you don't have control over, but what you certainly do have control over is how you react to it. So for someone, these are two children raised by the same father, but they are different, very different. Yes. Why? And every time you ask them why, they say because of my father. So that shows that at the end of the day, we can blame the fathers all you like, because of course, it was his duty to guide the children. Yes. But one grew up to a point and told myself, I now have to make a decision. My father has made a mistake.
own
I do
decision.
not have to continue
Continue in
in
that.
that decision, and I do not have to continue in that footpath. I now have to carve out my own footpath away from whatever it is my father has done. So that's something that everyone should learn to do in circumstances.
Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate this because, I mean, even for some of us who are paying attention, who are listening in, yes, we are mothers, we are wives now, but some of us made decisions. We saw certain things and decided that it will happen to me. I'm deciding, I'm making a choice. And it's part of why the RL show is here. We have seen what our African leaders have done. And we're saying that, you know what? They have made their choices. We are going to show our children a better way so that they can do better. Yeah. Thank you so much. So quickly, Oshia tells Nnaife he has won a scholarship to study in the United States. Then Taiwo, remember that at some point Nnu Ego gave birth to twins. So Taiwo's marriage is arranged.
Of course.
To an Igbo clerk. But Kehinde runs away to marry a Yoruba man. Oh my God. I mean, Ebuchi Emecheta just brought in all the issues, everything. My. So hearing the news, Nnaife flees into a rage and attempts to murder Kehinde's father-in-law with his cutlass. Nnaife is put in jail. Oh my God. I mean, he has gone to work abroad. He has been a soldier. He has gone to prison.
Like a full circle.
Like full circle.
I've seen it all. I've done it all.
He's tried and is sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. That's reduced the family to provided. Okay. And then, so Nnu Ego has also returned to her homeland. Guess what? This is the saddest part for me.
That was the heartbreaking thing of the whole story.
No.
And you know, I before you, maybe you should read it then. I say what
Hold
I
my hand.
really.
Hold my hand. I need emotional support if I read this part. Nnu Ego returns to her homeland and she dies several years later, alone by the roadside. And Oshia, her
For a
son,
woman that had so many
returns
and gave her
a befitting and
burial.
costly burial. I hear somebody at the back saying, "Oh, it's really
Like it was so, you know." And for me, I guess that should be the take home for every Afri mom, and perhaps every Afri dad listening to us.
Yeah.
Our children are gifts from God.
Yeah.
We can't take that away.
Yeah.
We owe them a responsibility to train them. We owe them a responsibility to raise them. But please do not lose yourself in the process.
Yeah.
Don't ever at any point see your children as your retirement plan. It doesn't always work that way. Because, you know, those days, that's what they will say. Oh, in Igbo land, there's something they say. And what that means is that when a parent has trained the child trains the parent. That's actually a very faulty mindset, because apart from that, it puts undue pressure on the child, because that's when you now see a child that is just getting into life, do you understand, trying to find his feet, but at the same time he's trying to remember, oh, I am supposed to be training my parents, I am supposed to be sending back and all. Let's not forget, I'm a Christian, so the Bible, I believe a lot of what the Bible says, and I try to model my life after what the Bible says. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. A good man does not make his children his inheritance. Rather, he leaves an inheritance for his children. So your children shouldn't be your retirement plan. Because just look at Nnu Ego. The children she craved for, she lived all her life for, she sacrificed so much for. Eventually, they were nowhere to be found during her old. Was she even old? Because it did several years. She wasn't that old.
Because she started life really early.
But the thing is that she started, the burden of life was so much on her, and it's only expected that it eventually took its toll on her. And imagine, with so much children that she eventually gave birth to, and she dies alone by the roadside, and with none of those children around her. Instead, finally, one comes back, the one who made the decision to take the scholarship abroad comes back and give her a befitting and costly burial. May our inheritance from our children not be a befitting and costly burial. So please, parents, as you are raising your children, as you are fulfilling your responsibility to your children, do not make your children your retirement plan. make investments in yourself. Get to the point where it is that with or without your children, you're able to sustain yourself. You're able to live a good life without losing yourself. So be a parent by all means, but please also remember you're an individual with a purpose that God has committed into your hands.
That's so me. It make me want to. I don't know. I don't know if I should do a right now or but I also just want to backpedal a bit to say right now, your mom is still alive.
Yeah.
And very much so. Mine as well. So, like Somi said, do not, rather than we feeling the undue pressure of, I have to give my parents so much, such tiny things as having their time. I grew up quite close to my maternal grandma, and by the time she was getting old, I realized that sitting by her and listening to her talk felt like gold to her. So I remember that when she passed on, I wasn't so bothered about, let it be so grand, let it be so, because she's not even seeing the coffin. She's not seeing, we were buying coffins, yes, I remember it was white and all of those things. We went and then we dug a very nice graveside, but she's not seeing all of that. So I'm saying that while we are raising our children for the future, let them know that we are not expecting too much. We just want you to turn out to be a good leader. We want you to turn out to be the best that God has created you for. But we as well, we are still children to someone, to your mom or your dad, your mother or your father who is still alive. Such things as checking on them, expressing your appreciation to them. Because you just might never have the billions to give them, and then you keep waiting and procrastinating, and then one day they are dead, and then you're thinking of how to make the party a 3-day event. At that time, they cannot see the event. So right now, what you can give, your time, your love, your honest appreciation, will go a long, long way. I think this is where we will call it a day on this novel, The Joys of Motherhood. So clearly we can see that it was an irony, because Buchi Mejeta was more like asking us a question. Is it really the joys of motherhood? Is it really all about having so many children and, being called fruitful? Like someone would say, the evidence of my fruitfulness. Is it all about that? How about your gifts?
Yeah.
How about your talents? How about your skills? How about the way you are able to listen to someone else and, give wise counsel? Those are also joys. Those should also bring you joys. How about the children in your family that are not even your biological children? While you're waiting, perhaps you're listening to us and you do not have biological children, but you have a niece that likes you, that listens to you, that always wants to be around you. You have a neighbor's child who just likes Auntie Esther, or just likes Auntie 𝐒𝐿𝐷. She likes you. That's a child that you can impact, and who knows, you would also be finding your own joy as a mother. Okay, so any final words, so me, before we call it a day?
Okay, so I guess we've said it all. Like I said, for me, the biggest takeaway in this novel is that we are more than, let me talk to women especially, because it's usually us that carry that motherhood tag, like that is all there is to it. The truth is, there is more to you than being a wife. There's more to you than being a mother. There is more to you than any other thing. The main thing is, find a balance in your life where you're able to fully live out the expression of God in you, live out your purpose, and no area of your life is lagging or no area of your life is missing out any part. You can be a wife, you can be a mother, you can be a career woman, a business woman, you can be a ministry person, all in one. It's possible. People have done it. People are doing it. So probably what you need to do is find people who are doing what you aspire to do and draw inspiration from them. The truth is that they don't have 10 heads. If they can do it, you can too. So, but do not lose yourself in, I'm a mother and I just live for my children alone. Please, by all means, live for your children. They deserve it, but don't live for them alone. Have your own identity, have your own personality outside of your children, because eventually you'll be left with an empty nest, and when that happens, we hope you do not die of loneliness, because the essence of your being is gone. But if you had your identity outside your children, it's easy for you to carry on life and just probably tour and visit them from time to time and come back to your own haven that you have created for yourself and live out life like God created you to do.
Thank you, Somi. While I'm a very proud African and proud to be a mother, I'm equally somebody who holds on to my belief in God. I am a Christian, and I believe that one's identity is found in knowing what you were created for. So find God, find purpose, and live it out by all means. Till we
Alright.
come your way again,
Tell the
remember
world.
to tell the world
Africa
is coming.
Thank you for tuning in. Till we come your way again in 2 weeks' time. Please stay blessed. Bye.
Bye.
Empower their minds, mold them into the leaders our continent needs. A free march, united in purpose, we stand strong, lifting each other, supporting our cause. Together we'll build a brighter tomorrow for our children, our families, our Africa. This is the ARAL show where we plant the seeds.